Hello students, let's start with options today. So what's the meaning? An option is a contract between two parties. So there is compulsory you need to have two parties under which the buyer of the option buys the right and not the obligation. Remember here I'm saying buyer of the option, not the asset which is there in that option contract. I'm not talking of the underlying asset. I'm just talking about the option, the right. So a buyer of the option buys the right and he is not obliged to buy or sell. So he takes the right, he can decide whether he wants to buy or sell or no, there's no obligation on him. A standard quantity of an underlying asset. So he takes a right to buy or sell what? A standard quantity of an underlying asset on or before a predetermined date, which we call it as expiry date, at a price which is decided in advance, which is called as exercise price or strike price. So it's a contract between two parties to buy or sell, in which one party takes the option to decide whether he wants to buy or sell a certain quantity of an underlying asset, let's say gold, at a predetermined date before maybe before July 2020 at a price, so maybe for 4,000 rupees per gram, which is decided in advance. So the price is decided today itself. It is called as exercise price or strike price. Let's understand this meaning again by breaking down that particular definition. We now proceed to break this definition. So if you see there, right, it's an option in a derivative instrument involving a right. So you get a right to decide. So when you enter into options contract, either you can take the right, so you decide, or you can sell the right to somebody else, the other party decides. There are two parties. One party takes a long position, it buys the option. So it is called as the option holder. So that means if you take the right, you are the option holder. You can decide. You are buying the option to decide. The other party takes a short position. It sells the option. That means I am selling you the option. You are buying the option. You have the right to decide. And as a writer of the option, I have given you that particular right. What is obligation? The holder can demand performance. He is not obliged to perform. So suppose I have given you the right to decide. You can demand a performance from me. You are not obliged to perform. If you want, you can buy it from me or no. If you want, you can sell it to me or no. But I have to oblige. Whatever you decide, I have to follow. So in contrast, the writer, that is me, is obliged to perform. He cannot demand performance. Exercise price, it is also called as the strike price. It is the price which is fixed in advance for the underlying asset. In our example, it was gold, which can be bought or sold. Expiry date, the date at which the option will be exercised, maybe July 2020. Option premium, when you buy the option or you buy the right and I am giving you that particular right, I'll not give it to you for free. I will ask you to pay me some amount. So to buy the right, that is the right to decide whether I want or no, I want to sell or not. So I'm giving you the decision making power. To get that decision making power, you have to pay me premium. That is called as option price or option premium. So the person who has bought the right, the buyer buys a right, he has to pay the writer a price. This is called as option premium or option price. Types of options. The types of options are divided into three categories. It is on the basis of exercise style, on the basis of structure, and on the basis of standard. On the basis of exercise style, you have two, American and European. On the basis of structure, you have call option, put option, under which you can trade in equity, index, futures, foreign currencies, options on futures, or even on interest rates. Standard, exchange traded or exotic options. That means nothing but over the counter options where it is not traded on the exchange. One on one we meet and we decide. Let's understand all those types one by one. Exercise style, it's American style option. An American style option can be exercised on or before the expiration date by its owner. So now suppose we say 30th July 2020 is the expiration date and I have bought the option today. I can exercise the option any time on or before 20th July. I can exercise it today also, tomorrow, day after. So any time on or before. the expiration date. Whereas in case of European style option, the owner can exercise his right only on the expiration date, not before that. So if I have taken a European style option, I can exercise the right only on 20th July, not before that. So I can't exercise it today, tomorrow. I have to wait till 20th July and then exercise. Whereas in case of American option, I told you it's on or before expiry date. So even today or tomorrow, we can exercise the option. What is exercising the option? Nothing but if I have decided to buy in the option, I exercise my right. That means I buy the gold in the option. If you have decided to sell in the option, you exercise your right and you sell gold in the option. So you can exercise it on or before the expiry date in American option, whereas in European you have to wait till expiry date, only then you can exercise. It may be pointed out, however, that most of the options, even which are traded in Europe, are American style options. So the options that are available and most traded are American style options. The next is structure. I told you the two types, the call option and the put option. The call option is the option which gives the right to buy an asset for a certain price on or before the expiry date. So here you get the right to buy. So if it is a gold contract and I take a call option, I get a right to buy gold. Put option, it gives its owner the right to sell something for a certain predetermined price on or before the specified date. If I have taken a put option, I get the right to sell gold on or before July 20th. So if I am a seller, I'll take a put option, and if I want to decide, I'll take the put option. I get the right to decide I want to sell or not. If I am a buyer and I want the right, I'll have to buy a call option and I get the right to decide whether I want to buy gold or not. So if you look at the table given below, if it is a call option, the buyer of the option or the holder of the option, that means the person who has the option has the right to buy the asset, whereas the person who has sold that option has to oblige and sell that asset. Let's take an example. Suppose you have taken a call option, you have the right to buy it from me, and I have given you that right to decide. So if you decide you want to buy gold from me, I am obliged to sell. So buyer of the option is you, who has the right to decide, right to buy the asset. If you decide to buy, as a seller of the option, I am having an obligation to sell the gold to you. If you decide you don't want to buy, then I will not sell it to you. Same way in the put option, buyer of the option, that is the person who buys the put option, has the right to sell. So suppose I have taken the right, you are the buyer and I am the seller, but I am the seller of gold, but I have bought option, right? I am the option holder, that means I've bought put option. So see how these two are different. I am buying a put option and in that I am selling gold. So underlying asset I am selling, but the option I have bought. So I am the option holder to decide. So decision making power I have bought, and I have taken that power to sell gold. So when I compare it to the asset, I am a seller, but when I compare it to the option, I am a buyer. So I have right to sell. I can sell gold to you, and you will be obliged to buy the gold from me whenever I want to sell it on or before the expiry date. So this is on the basis of structure. Stock option. These are the call and put options on the shares of a company traded in the exchange. Options on individual stocks are traded at the NSE and the BSE. What is NSE, BSE? National Stock Exchange and Bombay Stock Exchange. The options are of American style. All the options are of American style. That basically means you can buy or sell on or before the expiry date. You need not wait till the expiry date. For determining gain or loss on a contract, at the end of the day, the closing prices of that security in the cash market is considered. So today, if we are ending the contract, whatever is the price of that stock, if I have an option on Infosys stock and today I'm closing it, exercising it, my gain or loss will be determined depending on the closing price of Infosys today. Settlement is done on T+1 basis. So if I have decided to sell Infosys shares today and we exercise the option, I need not give it immediately. I can settle it in T+1 days. That means the day when the transaction has happened plus one more day. So I get 2 days time. T is the transaction day plus 1 day. So it is done by the following day. That means the next day. The settlement does not involve transfer of shares. It is done on cash basis. So instead of giving you Infosys shares, I will give you the price. Whatever is the price of the Infosys shares, that much cash I will give you, and I will settle the account. So usually stocks options are settled by giving cash. Index options. In case of options on index, a contract usually provides for a certain multiple of the index. So here we trade on Sensex, we trade on Nifty, we trade on S&P index. So here we are basically trading on a certain lot size or multiple of an index. So the multiple may be 100 lot, that means the lot size may be 100, 200, 500. We trade on that. So example, one contract on S&P 100 with a strike price of 262. Strike price is nothing but the exercise price. So if I have a contract with the exercise price of 262, in case it is exercised when the index is at 280, if the market value of the index is 280 and I have a price of 262, the writer of the option would pay the holder a sum of 280 minus 262 into 100, that is 1800. Now who is the writer of the option? The person who is ready to sell. So he has decided to sell at 262 and the market is in the market it is available for 280. So he is at a loss because he would have sold in the market for 280, whereas he is selling it here for 262. Whereas the buyer is in the gain. The buyer can buy it for 262 instead of buying it for 280. So the seller is at loss. At loss of how much? 280 minus 262. That is 18 rupees into 100 is the lot size of S&P. So 1800 is the loss of the seller which he has to pay to the holder of the option, that is the buyer of the option, because it is his gain. I hope you are understanding. I have decided to sell at 262 and the market price is 280. So my loss is 18 rupees. You have decided to buy at 262 and the market price is 280. So your gain is 18 rupees. 100 is the lot size. So 18 into 100, 1800. So as a buyer, you will gain 1800. As a seller, I will lose 1800. The index value used in is the value at the end of the day when the exercising instructions are given. So today if we fix to exercise the option, today at the end of the day, whatever is the index value, we will consider that to find the gain or loss. They are available on the Sensex and S&P, CNX, Nifty of the NSE. So you have options contract available on Sensex, Nifty and S&P. Options on futures. Here we basically have options on the futures contract. In such an option, the underlying asset is the future contract. So it's like on one contract we have another contract. The holder acquires the right to buy or sell futures contract. The person who has bought the option has the right to decide whether he wants to buy or sell the futures contract rather than the asset itself. So here he is not trading with the asset, but he is trading with the futures contract. When the holder of a call option decides to exercise it, he acquires from the writer of the option a long position. So, in the underlying future contract, plus a cash amount equal to the excess of future price over the exercise price. So, a holder of the call option means the person who has the right to buy. He will basically buy futures contract plus the cash, whatever is the cash amount between the difference of the price. So, if today I want to exercise the futures contract and the exercise price is 500 and the market price is 600. So I will buy the contract plus that 100 rupees gain also should be given to me. If I take a put option, then here the holder will he acquires a short position in the underlying future contract. So I have to sell the future contract and cash amount equal to excess of the exercise price over the future price. So I have to give the contract as well as that excess cash amount to the person who is buying. Foreign currency option. This gives the right to a buyer to buy or sell a fixed quantity of specified currency in the exchange for a specified quantity of other currency in a ratio determined by the strike price of the option. So it's nothing but the exercise price. So here we decide in the exercise price, here we decide the exchange rate. So I decide to buy US dollars and give Indian rupee on a certain exchange rate which is fixed. So that exchange rate is my exercise price. So here a fixed quantity of a currency of one country is exchanged for another country at a predetermined exchange price or strike price of the option. Interest rate options. These are the options on the instruments whose payoff are dependent in some way or the other on interest rates. They are used to hedge the interest rate risk exposure. So we understood the interest rate swaps, and we understood the credit default swap, we understood collateralized debt obligation. All these are part of interest rate options. Now on the basis of standards, so if you just look here, we were discussing the types of options. We have done the exercise style, American and European, the structure, call and put, and under that equity shares, index, foreign currency, option on futures, and interest rate. So now we're doing it on the basis of standard. So on the basis of standard, there are two. One is exchange traded options. These are traded on recognized stock exchanges world over, and their volume is growing at a astronomical rate. So here we trade the option on the exchange, like on the stock exchange it is listed. Exotic or over the counter options are, besides trading options on the exchange, it is also possible to enter into private option arrangement with brokerage firms or other dealers. So here, if the contract is not available on the exchange, but you are privately dealing with the broker or any other dealer who is in the options. Institutions sometimes do this when they need a product with characteristics that are not available in the exchange traded options. So suppose I need TCS shares and an option is not available on the exchange, stock exchange, then I will go for privately trading it. The strike price, life of the option, and the premium are negotiated between the parties involved. So it's a privately traded option. If you and I are trading, we decide on the exercise price, the timing, and all the negotiations are done. This is called as over the counter option. Because the clearinghouse do not get involved in over the counter option, they are subject to counterparty risk. So the risk in over the counter option is more because there is no stock exchange as guarantor. Only you and me are dealing. I may default or you may default, and the risk is too high. So this was options on the basis of standards. Now the next is to understand the moneyness of the contract. We will be doing a few problems also on this. Now when I say moneyness of the contract, there are three things that you need to understand: at the money, in the money, and out of the money. If the option is at the money, means it is profitable, you should exercise that option. If it is in the money, means there is no profit, no loss, you are at BEP, so you decide what you want to do with the option. And if it is out of the money, that means the option is giving you losses. You should not exercise it. If you exercise, you will lose. So how do we determine whether the option is at the money, in the money, or out of the money? So here is a table that will help you to do that. If your spot price is greater than the exercise price, you call the option to be in, call option to be in the money, and put option to be out of the money. Let's try it once. Your spot price should be greater than your exercise price. So if I just see it here, let's try doing it here. If my spot price, if I say, if I say that S naught is equal to 100 and exercise price, we call it as E equal to 90. So my spot price is greater than exercise price. So in this case, what we say, the call option is in the money. How do we say this? What is a call option? First off, call option is right to buy. Okay, so you're buying it at 90 rupees. So right to buy at 90 rupees because that is the exercise price. Okay, and now suppose the market price, which is nothing but the spot price, market price, or I'll call it as S naught, is 100 rupees. So you have decided to buy it for 90 and the market price is 100. So that means you're buying at 10 rupees less. So what's your gain? Your gain is 10 rupees. So as a call option holder, the option is in the money because you're gaining 10 rupees. So you can buy a stock which is available for 100 rupees in the market for 90 rupees through the option. So you're saving 10 rupees here. When you save something or you earn something, you call it as in the money. So when your S naught, that is the spot price, is greater than the exercise price, you call it as in the money for a call option because you have the right to buy and you can buy it for 90 rupees. I hope it is clear. Let's understand the same example for put option. So this was for call option. Now let's go and do it for put option. So similarly, if your S naught is 100, if your exercise price is 90 and you have a put option, I call it out of the money. Now why we are calling it out of the money? Because here your S naught is greater than 90. That means what? You can sell for exercise price 90, whereas the market price or S naught is 100. So what is your loss? 10 rupees. You can sell in the market for 100, but you have gone into option contract and you have decided to sell it for 90. So you lose 10 rupees. So the same contract, if you are a buyer, you will gain 10 rupees. So if it is a call option right to buy, you are a buyer, you will gain 10 rupees. But if it is a put option right to sell, you will lose 10 rupees. Now just see the PPT. See here, if S naught is greater than E, I took an example of 100 and 90. So if your spot price is 100 and exercise price is 90, the call option is in the money. You gain 10 rupees here. Whereas the put option is out of the money. You lose 10 rupees here. Let's understand one more simple thing. That's the formula also you can call it for a call option. I will write it here for you. For a call option, you basically do, if it is a call, you do S naught minus E. That means spot price minus exercise price. But if it is a put option, you do E minus S naught. So let's see our example which I gave you. Call option I should do S naught minus E. S naught I told you is 100 minus E is 90, which is equal to a gain of 10 rupees. And for put option you do E minus S naught. So E was 90 in my example, minus S naught 100. So you lose 10 rupees. So it's minus 10. So if you see put option is losing, so it's out of the money. Call option is gaining, so it's in the money. So remember these formulas for call and put options. That is for call it is S naught minus E, and for put it is E minus S naught. So what is E? E is the exercise price, S naught is the spot price. So let's move further towards the presentation. The next is if your S naught is less than E. So your spot price is less than exercise price. In that case, your call option will be out of the money and your put option will be in the money. So see, now suppose your spot price is 80 and your exercise price is 90. And what the call option says, you should do S naught minus E. So 80 minus 90, you get minus 10. That's why it's out of the money. There is loss. You should not take this option. Whereas if you have to do put option, you do E minus S naught. So I should do 90 minus 80. I will gain 10 rupees. So the option is in the money here, put option. And when both the prices are same, suppose both the prices are 80 and 80. So you do S naught minus E, 80 minus 80 0, or you do E minus S naught, 80 minus 80 0. So you're at the money. That means you need not, if it is your decision, you want to go through that option or no, nor you are going to gain, nor you want to lose. A call or a put option will be exercised only if the option is in the money. Only when you get it as in the money, you will exercise because you are gaining. So S naught is the stock price or spot price and E is the exercise price. The premium or the price of the option is made up of two components, namely the intrinsic value and the time value. So I told you if you want to buy an option, you will have to pay something to me. So what we are paying, we call it as premium of the option or we call it as price. So I'm writing it here, we call it as premium or price. Okay, now what does this premium or price consist of? It consists of two things. So I'll write it as premium consists of intrinsic value and or we'll write plus time value. So it consists of these two things. Now we'll see how do we basically find intrinsic value and time value. So the intrinsic value is also termed as the parity value and the time value as the premium over parity. Parity is nothing but equality. So intrinsic value is also called as the true value and time value is anything above the intrinsic value. For an option, the intrinsic value refers to the amount by which it is in the money. Therefore, an option which is out of the money or at the money has zero intrinsic value. So how to find intrinsic value? You have to check whether your option is in the money or no. So to find intrinsic value, whether it's in the money or out of the money, we use, so suppose I'm finding intrinsic value for call option. So I will do S0 minus E, because this is what we found out to find whether it's in the money, at the money, out of the money. So when I do S0 minus E, I will get to know whether it's in the money, at the money, or out of the money. So it is giving you the intrinsic value for a call option. For a put option, your intrinsic value will be that formula E minus S0. So these will give you the intrinsic values. Now remember, intrinsic values can never be negative. So if you get the answer is negative, you should take it as 0 here. So if I show you the formula, how it is being taken here, intrinsic value for the call option is maximum of 0, comma S0 minus E. So out of the two, whichever is maximum. If I do S0 minus E and get minus 5, so 0 or minus 5, which is maximum? 0. So I cannot take negative as intrinsic value. It should be always positive, or it will be 0. It will not be in negative sign. That's why we write maximum of 0 or S0 minus E. And look here, for put option, we take it as maximum of 0 or E minus S0. So these are the two formulas which we use, which I told you should be used for intrinsic value. So for put E minus S0, for call S0 minus E. And if it comes as negative, we should take it 0. So it is maximum of 0 or S0 minus E. And here also for put, it is maximum of 0 or E minus S0. So this is how the intrinsic value formulas are derived. Now how to find the time value? Okay, so we'll see what is the formula for time value. Time value, I told you, is anything above the intrinsic value. So suppose we know the premium, how much we are going to pay, or let's just go to the slides and understand it again. The time value of an option is the difference between the premium and the intrinsic value. So suppose you have decided that you will pay 10 rupees premium for call option. So premium minus intrinsic value will give you the time value. For a call or a put option, which is at the money or out of the money, the entire premium amount is the time value. So here is how you calculate the time value for call option. Whatever, suppose it is a call option. So whatever premium you're paying, I'll call it as call premium, premium, minus whatever is your intrinsic value. So for a call option, the intrinsic value is maximum of 0 or S0 minus E. So this is what is the intrinsic value for a call option. Then let's do it for put option. So you take put premium for a put option. So if I'm doing it for put option, equals to put premium minus its intrinsic value, which is maximum of 0 or E minus S0. So nothing but premium minus the intrinsic value will give you the time value. So suppose the premium is 10 rupees here. Let's take an example. Let's take it for call option first. Suppose the premium is equal to 10 rupees and intrinsic value you have found by doing S0 minus E, or I'll write it full, intrinsic value. You have done S0 minus E. So let's do it. S0 minus E. So suppose your S0 is 100 and E is 90. So your intrinsic value will be equal to S0 100 minus E 90, which is equal to 10 rupees. And your time value will be equal to premium, which is call premium, minus intrinsic value. So if we see here, call premium is also 10 minus intrinsic value is also 10. So time value will be 0. Suppose this was, instead of 190, this was 195. So your intrinsic value would have been 100 minus 95, which would be 5 rupees. And I would have done call premium 10 rupees minus intrinsic value 5 rupees. So I would have got the time value of 5 rupees. So time value is nothing but the difference between the premium and the intrinsic value. So whatever intrinsic value you get from the premium, you minus. So I'll write it here again for you. Time value is equal to option premium minus intrinsic value. And what is intrinsic value? Is equal to, if it is a call option, it is maximum of 0 or S naught minus E. And if it is a put option, it is maximum of 0 or E minus S naught. So you need to remember this. Time value is option premium minus intrinsic value. Option premium will be given because you have to find the time value, or they will give you time value and intrinsic value and ask you to find the option premium. So this is what you have to remember about time value and intrinsic value. We'll be doing problems on this in the coming sessions. So this was about the theory about time value, intrinsic value, types of options, and the meaning of options. We'll continue with the further part in the upcoming sessions. So today we discussed all this. Thank you.